Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Thunder. This is Getting Ish Done with Ike and Dr. Thunder. And we have a great show for you tonight, thought provoking show, all about discovering the path that you're on. Is it the right path? You're on the wrong path in life. Here's how you know. And the video we're taking a look at is called 9 Signs You're on the Wrong Path in Life by Psych2Go. So make sure you go and support that channel. But yeah, this is going to be a good conversation. Getting Ish Done is a sort of productivity sort of content, focus on Black men in particular, but focused on anyone that, obviously appropriate for anyone that is trying to level up, trying to better themselves, and is interested in thought-provoking intellectual discussion on these topics. Also, we deal a lot with sort of navigating the sort of business world, corporate world, academia with respect to upward mobility. And so, yes, this is Getting Ish Done with Ike and Dr. Thunder. In today's show, you are on the wrong path in life. Here's how you know. Taking a look again at the video, 9 Signs You're on the Wrong Path in Life by Psych2Go. Make sure you go over there and check that out. Like, share, comment, subscribe, become a channel member where you'll get access to all archived videos. Support Black male media, support independent media. Super chats enabled. Super thanks for the Replay Gang, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, Dr. Thunder Music, all one word. Spell out the word doctor. And if you want to buy me a sandwich, shoot me a Cash App, Dr. Thunder Music. All right, we're going to go ahead and get the show started. Getting Ish Done. Let's go. Warning: some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised. What's happening, man?
I'm doing well. How are you, sir?
I'm all right. I'm doing all right. Are you traveling right now?
Um, no, I am actually not traveling right now. Um, just what? Yeah, why are you asking? Oh, because of the
No, no,
camera,
no.
I guess.
Just curious.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
you
yeah,
were
yeah.
last time. It seemed like you were. Let's see here. Did we do an episode? We did one last week. You were home last week. Is that
Correct.
right?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago, I was probably somewhere else and blah blah blah.
That's right.
But yeah,
All
I'm still quote unquote home, and you know, how do you know your life is going down the wrong path? Maybe when you're not allowed to see your kids anymore, or um, what else? Uh, I'm just the title is funny. Like if you're going down the wrong path, there's so many funny things that come to mind about going down.
yeah. But one image that is conjured up, um, in my mind, there's an episode of The Office. You know, everyone knows I love The Office, and I've done over this series. I've used a lot of Office references. Um, but there's an episode of The Office where Michael Scott and Dwight Schrute, who is the best salesman, but also has serious character flaws. Um, both of them have serious character flaws. They're really strange people, but they're both really really great sales. Um, so they're in a car because they had decided that they were going to, I can't remember, woo some clients back with some gift baskets with fancy cheeses and all like this. So on the way back, they're listening to the navigation instructions, and the voice tells him to go up and turn right. Michael is driving. He goes up and he starts to turn right, and Dwight is like, "No, this is not where you're supposed to turn. It means to go turn right here." And right there is like one of those a down ramp, like you would back your boat into to get in the water. So he just drives down the the embankment right into the water. And then, of course, they have to be, well, Michael gets sort of rescued by Dwight out of the car as the car gets submerged. And of course, they didn't get Michael did not get the insurance on the car. So, so
Yeah,
that
when
could
you
be
know
a
your life
sign
is
that
going down the wrong path.
you're going the wrong path, is that you're like submerged.
Submerged, middle of yeah, yeah, yeah. On your third felony, maybe you need to reconsider
Right,
things.
right. Yes. When you're looking at life without the possibility of parole, that might be a sign. All right. So let's go ahead and jump over here. All right. So this is the channel Psych to Go, and so that's a big channel. They got 11 million subs over there, and a lot of these kinds of videos. There was one of the videos was on signs that you're on the right path, but this one was a little more interesting. Um, so I thought that we could crack on this a little bit and see what we come up with. Here we go.
Hey there, Psych2Goers. Welcome back to another video. Before we start, We want to give a big thank you for all the support you've given us. Psych2Go's mission is to make psychology and mental health awareness more accessible to everyone. So let's begin. Have you ever stopped to wonder if the things you're doing with your life are right for you? Is your life on the path you wanted to take? Even if you don't know where you wanna go, or if life's difficulties are complicating things for you, you can still determine if you're going in the right direction because chances are you still know where you don't wanna go. With that said, here are 9 warning signs you may be on the wrong path in life. 1, your mindset is stuck in the past. Do you constantly think about the times you messed up or obsess over people who have wronged you or ruminated on old memories? Our mindsets are powerful things. If you have a tendency to view the world in a pessimistic way, or if you're constantly dwelling on negatives, it can keep you stuck in a place you don't wanna be. If you find yourself consumed with the past and barely living in the present, it might be because you're not heading where you're supposed to be heading.
So, what do you think of that assessment?
I'm not buying the conclusion. I'm not. I think it's just a smuggling in of a particular point that is a good point. The point being, be present. Don't
Yeah.
be stuck in anything. In any particular weird rumination of the past or your weird version of the past or scared of the future or whatever. But that it is in and of itself is a sign of wrong path, when by the way wrong path has already been defined as some kind of a life course type stuff, because the wrong path is not, oh, I'm going down the wrong path mentally, like I guess I'm not, I need to dust up my mind. That's not what they mean by wrong path, right? They're actually talking about where you're heading in life, where one would assume um a career, relationships with the society and your family and such and stuff like that. That'll be the path that they're talking about. So, of course, it is plausible that one reason why you are not present and you are stuck, quote unquote, in the past is because you are indeed trying to, you're not enjoying your present because you're not on the right path. But I think it's a tenuous connection, but the point still is fine, I guess.
Yeah, there was a lot of gaps in the conclusion didn't seem to logically follow the premises or whatever. I mean, the argument. The argument didn't seem to conclude the way that they tried to wrap it up. Um, there was something in there too. I was thinking about, and I've heard you say before, this idea of finding something that you like doing. Figure out what your sort of knack is, what your natural abilities are, and sort of sow into those things, develop those things. Um, uh, do you think that? Well, I know for sure if I was, for instance, post hole digging for a living, I may have I'm I I may have a sense that this first point that they're making, um, your mindset is stuck. My mindset might be stuck if I'm digging post holes, and but not that I'm digging post holes because that's the only thing that I can do well, or that's the thing that I excel at, but rather I'm digging post holes because I haven't really discovered what it is that I am to do. Or I know what it is that I am to do, but I won't take the chance to, to go down that path. What do you think of that?
So, the, maybe I'll go this direction first. The mindset thing, it's just it's a slight tangent slash, not a real pet peeve or anything like that, but something. It's a phrase, the mindset, or a word, compound word that people throw out there. And when this psych channel, I'm sure they have a particular definition for it, and I think I understand what they mean by the mindset thing. but I think in itself, it's rather non-specific as to what the hell it is trying to refer to, right? It's one of these vague phrases, your mindset, your mentality. You have to. It's like if I told you to have a better mindset, Dr. Thunder, what exactly have I told you, right? You're like, well, I guess okay. I guess I'll go work on my mindset. But so that's just one thing I wanted to just talk about. But with regards to, of course, and that's part of the argument, or part of the flaw of the argument is that you could be, uh, you know, you digging post holes might be a symptom of the fact that you have a unclear or whatever mindset that they were talking about, right? A not very good mindset. Um, Not knowing what you're supposed to do, as a matter of fact, yet, as you mentioned, might be a reason for you to be concentrating on your past and trying to look through to see maybe you can find what exactly it is you should be doing, or something better to be doing. Um, but there are many directions in which you mentioned several things, right? Um, so those two I just wanted to touch on.
Yeah, the not being willing to take a risk is one of the things I was saying. So maybe you're post hole digging because you're not willing to take a risk on what it is that in your heart of hearts you know that this is really the thing for you. Like, I've told people about, and I've said this about myself with respect to music. So I do music because I'm sort of stuck with music. Like, if I didn't do music, if that wasn't a significant part of my life, the most significant part of my life, if that wasn't the case, then I think I'd be totally miserable. So then I'd be the post hole digger. And see, I think the thing is it's one thing if you don't really know what it is that you're supposed to do, or what really turns you on. You don't really know what that is, and you're post hole digging as a way to sort of make some money as you're figuring things out. It's another thing to be post hole digging because you don't want to take a chance on the thing that that really turns you on. What do you think of that?
Now I think, yeah, those are very two different things, of course, or maybe it's not, of course, but it's very two different places to be in. If you're just passing by, if you know, or if you're doing this if you're hiding at a particular spot, you're hiding at the post hole as opposed to just it being
Right.
a path to pass by. Now, overall, you see, you talked about the knowing or the doing the music, for example. So that is so your experience or with you, okay, most likely it, it'll be clear when you are actually hiding from what you're supposed to be doing, for example, because it's clear what you are supposed to be doing, you know? Um, so if you're in the post hole hiding, it'll be clear as well. There is, and I just want to talk about this clarity here in terms of you're on one, let's say on one extreme where the answer is simple. Not that you're gonna have the balls to do it, but it's simple, right? There is another place where, and I would say I kind of occupy this kind of space where it's not really no. I don't know what I want to do or should be doing, really. um, and the 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 real the issue is, or the solution is to to tackle why the question of being in the right place comes up or doing the right thing comes up to begin with. Now, there's a lot of baggage that I'm bringing in here, and that's why I was like, "Oh crap!" I just realized, "Oh, do I have to explain?" Well, I'm not going to explain much, but I'm just going to say a couple of things. One of the aspects I'm talking about here is obviously you would have options in terms of the different things you could do, right? So there's a little bit of maybe you're good at several things, or you could go several directions, or you do enjoy maybe several things, whatever. So that's part of like a precondition here in this kind of a area. So you have that, and you are not stuck in this realm of something particular, where the question, and this is the other part, the question of what should I be doing, okay, is usually a bad sign, right? If it's usually because it's a sign of some other dis-ease somewhere else, right? Because it was the because the fact of what you're doing in the course of your life seems to not be there's so many paths that it could take that seem to be okay, you know and it's just a question now of how well you're doing stuff. Okay, now I know I'm kind of rambling, I'm a little rambly today, but you started off with the basic idea of hiding somewhere versus just it being a journey. And I wanted to
Right.
highlight the fact that for someone like you, number one, it's going to be clear whether you're hiding or not, because it's kind of clear where you should be. If you're in the kind of a place where, there might be more of a revolving door slash journey slash maybe circular flowing around, then um, I guess how you navigate is quite different. For you, music is the North Star. It's you can, but I don't. As I'm sure you know, not everybody has that North Star thing, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, it's
as a
true.
matter of fact, most people
It's true.
don't. They don't.
Yeah,
I know I don't.
hmm. Yeah. So now, if I can abstract this a little bit, um, so, but music is a pretty abstract kind of idea, right? So music, you could say, is a skill. So, like, I have this ability, and whatever it is that I want to do, I want that to be involved in me. So it could have been a number of things. It could have
I see
been
what you. Okay,
being a
so if
touring.
I'm getting you correctly, it's not hyper specific, and so it's not like a real North Star that's kind of super hyper specific. Music. It can be abstracted, and so hence there are these directions that people tend to have, anyways. So when I'm saying, oh, somebody doesn't have a North Star, oh no, they know the type of. Some people are like, no, man, I gotta work with my hands, for example, right? So
Right,
it
right.
doesn't really, or I gotta be, I can't be in this kind of environment. I gotta be in that kind of environment. I gotta be outdoor. I gotta be this. Okay, so I get you. So yeah, 100%. You gotta follow that one. Um, why would you? It is interesting. Now, if you're like, oh, I gotta be a writer, or I gotta. That's when I think there are particular proclivities, and music probably is one of them, that where people are more likely to go hide, right? Somewhere
Mhm.
else, because
Yep,
it's a long shot, let's say, right? Especially, let's say, in the
yep,
arts of any kind.
yep.
Music, I want to be a writer, I want to be a poet, whatever it may be. Those are probably there are a lot of people out there with that in their hearts, and maybe they're not digging post holes, maybe they're doing accounting or some other thing. That's even worse.
Right, right.
How to dig
Right.
post holes.
Yeah. So, I guess and I kinda said that to so you were saying, because it seems to me that for you, so you have a lot of things that you can do. I have a lot of things that I can do, right? That can serve as sort of a paralysis. You can get into paralysis because it's like, okay, I've got all of these things that I can do. What's the perfect situation for me able to be able to utilize all of this stuff? And if you sit around thinking that way, then you might not actually do anything because it's not going to be obvious how you're going to use all of your skills, all of your
Yeah, that's a good
abilities.
problem. It's a
It
good
is
problem
it's
to
a good
define for each other. Yeah.
it's a good problem in that um if you can actually get moving and don't become sort of a slave to sort of fear, like, well, what if I'm not any good at this? What if I'm not any good at that? If you're not doing that and you're just like, hey, let me just try a bunch of stuff, then it's like good and it's interesting, and you certainly, you're not going to be bored, right? You're going to have a lot of different kinds of things to do, and you can sort of use these different experiences to um, you can use these different experiences to sort of hone in on, you know, perhaps what it is that you are actually destined to do. If there is such a thing. One, and terms like destiny, purpose, meaning. Well, meaning is less maybe abstract, but destiny, purpose, like those kinds of things are kind of like
Is this why you
we.
selected this video about the right path? I mean, it's the it's the glaring point here of for questions like, well, what do you mean the right path, right?
Exactly. It's like all of these terms are um, sort of sufficiently vague. People kind of know what you're talking about, sort of. But if you press any particular person when they give a certain kind of advice that's sort of loaded with these kinds of expressions, they're
So
probably
people
not going to be able to tell you anything further.
this is a it's a highly narrative driven type situation, meaning so people have a what people mean, or in general what it means to be on the right path or have a to do the right thing, fulfill your destiny, is a narrative that people have in their head based on some something spectacular, typically, that somebody did, and it's either from some family tree type. Oh, Uncle X was the one that started the boating company. And you're like, wow, Uncle X was, for some reason, it feels like that's what Uncle X was there to do. He really he led us out of the desert, and it seemed like that was his destiny, right? So there's a narrative arc there, and by the way, you have no idea what, quote unquote, these people well, how they felt, whether they felt like that I want to get the hell out of this family, or you know and they just, whether they felt like, oh, it was my destiny to start this company so that our family can be great, all those kinds of things. So basically, I'm saying that there's a general narrative, on a very low resolution way, that people are referring to. They're talking about some life, right, where things seem to work out, right, and where, if I do this thing, it will be good, and it will be great, and it's like, that's why I think that, a lot of these, there's a lot of assumptions you have to make, which is like, okay, I got to get past all this BS and get to the fact that, okay, you're really just talking about being a psychologically healthy person. So let me assume this, but there's a lot of suppositions that could be asked about, like, what somebody came to you like, man, Dr. Thorne, I don't know if I'm on the right path. There's a lot of questions I got to ask you about, like, what the hell you mean by this path thing. Like, I think there's something else going on if you're talking about a path. I'm like, what narrative are you basing this path on? By the way, a lot of people have the hero's journey stuck in their head as it's just a fact. That's how we are, right? And we're filling in all kinds of gaps and thinking all kinds of things should be, and it's just, that's what I suspect, anyways, that people are talking about when they talk about things like this.
Yeah. All right. I mean, we could keep talking on the first point, but let's keep going.
2. Things don't align or make sense. Do you always try your hardest but don't feel good about the outcome? No matter how much you try, you just can't make things work. Does it always feel like something is missing or things just don't add up? Life throws curveballs all the time. However, if you're doing the same thing over and over again and expect a different result, maybe it's time to try something new to achieve the outcome that you want.
Maybe you're dumb.
Yeah, yeah, and maybe you don't have any skills. Maybe you're not good at anything, and
It's
that's why you
like,
can't make
oh,
anything
nothing
work.
works. It's like, okay.
You know.
I don't know. So this is a good one. I don't know. Did you have any initial thoughts, or how does this one strike you?
Well, it's one of these sufficiently vague. Possibly, if you were in the position where you just need a little bit of encouragement, that this kind of advice may help you. But if you
Yeah, you
don't
already knew
have
that
any idea,
you shouldn't be digging post holes anyways, and you've been digging it 12 years too long, and then this video just pushes you over the edge, right? That kind of stuff.
or right, right. But other than that, it seems uh, I
So,
understand people getting
how,
sort of
it,
feeling stuck. I get that, and trying the same thing over and over, and thinking that maybe if you try it differently, that you'll come out with a different result, and getting frustrated. I understand that kind of thing, but none of this really kind of went together to be particularly impactful. I mean, that's my thought.
so no. I think that what we're seeing, because especially with the voice and everything in the production, and you did mention that this has like 11 million subs and whatnot. I'm talking about the channel now, the channel and
Yes.
what it represents. Like, and what it represents is a certain type of psychology, generally speaking, which I think is and it's not very surprising that psychology is especially the popular understanding of it, highly flawed kind of endeavor. And it's not surprising, because I mean, the whole know thyself thing is a big problem. It's not an easy thing to do. But I
Right.
think if we were to take these things seriously, such as the life path thing, and we know that what Hammenegger means by a life path is this story he has in his head somehow, which he may be very conscious of, or not conscious of, but it's very highly narrative kind of thing. It's not really present and about well-being and being. It's about some weird becoming or some ish. But anyways, um, if we're to take them seriously, and they're talking about this thing about things not working out, right? If things being disorganized and stuff like that, what I see there is the pathology is in. So it's either two things: either you're stupid, right? Number one, you're just doing the wrong thing. There's a logic of the system, there's a logic of the physical world or that you're interacting with, or logic of the social world that you're interacting with that you're not following, right? You keep pushing the wrong button, right? That's one possibility. The other possibility is you're interpreting the freaking world wrongly, and I find that is mostly the case, right? And they feed into each other. People who interpret the word wrongly and start pushing the buttons, wrong buttons, and by that I mean this idea of things are not working out. It's like, dude, I don't. If I can, there is no point in time where I can't look and be like, oh my god, it's an S show right now. Generally speaking, like there is always a perspective you can look and you're like, oh my god, I'm
Right.
barely keeping it together, right?
Right.
it's
Right.
like
Yep.
it's like I
Yep.
don't know how I got past the last month and all that kind of stuff. I greatly suspect that the people going through their day, taking that thing to heart, right? Taking that moment to heart, taking that I'm tired and I don't know how I barely got through the week to heart, as though, oh, there's something, I've lost the juice, the je ne sais quoi, whatever it is, is gone. The thrill is gone, right? I highly
Mhm.
suspect that these are the things that really ail people. And these types of psychological, they try to allude to it like, oh, if you feel like, do you kind of vaguely sometimes feel like something's going wrong? And but it's like really not addressing the issue. But anyways, my main point here is taking them seriously at the way they present stuff is really insightful, because it's kind of like you're gonna get like a read behind this, like you're reading between the lines, taking an esoteric read, a meta read of like, this they're stating a problem and they're giving a solution, but you're seeing like the real meta problem that is really there with their whole conceptualization.
Yes. All right. So here, let's go to the next point here.
3. You aren't satisfied. Do you wake up and feel unmotivated to start your day? It isn't necessary to jump up with
Every day.
intense enthusiasm every single day, but you should wake up in the morning and feel at least some sense of satisfaction. Life satisfaction is important for our health and well-being. If you can't even be excited about the day ahead, it's probably time to figure out how to change the life you're currently living.
Okay, so here's my issue with this. Um, my issue with this is it's obviously a certain kind of person that thinks this way, or that would require feeling good about what it is that they're doing, being motivated to, all of these kind of things. There's a certain kind of person that sort of requires that. I don't require that. Right? That's not the kind of person. And in fact, I would take it as more of a challenge, and then therefore would experience even a deeper level of fulfillment if I really was not motivated to do something and I still made myself do it, and then
So,
and then it went well.
Dr.
You
Thunder, you
know?
say they don't require or that they do require. Do you think it's healthy to do you think it's healthy to require? And I'm asking the question based on the fact that they can actually get it. So if they actually do require this thing that they cannot get, I think you know that they cannot get what they want.
Yeah, no. I think from a becoming a mature person, adulting, an aspect of adulting, which I can't even believe that that's an actual term now, is talk about it like a freaking certain kind of undeveloped people require certain terminology now, and that's one of the terms. Anyhow, I'm sorry. But with adulting, with becoming mature, becoming more wise, more seasoned, all of that kind of stuff would necessitate less reliance on other people. I mean, because as you get older, when you're a baby, you require everything from your parents, right? You require everything. You're not going to survive without them. But then as you get older, you're going to have less and less, if you're healthy, if you're actually maturing well, you're going to have less and less reliance on other people. So less and less reliance on external motivation, external factors, less of a need for people to financially support you, less of a need for people to encourage you, say attaboy, less need for those kinds of things. And you're going to shift roles. This is a natural sort of evolution from being the person that required those things to the person that is providing those things for someone else. So if you are still in need of those things, I think it significantly reduces your ability to be that for someone else.
Hmm. In a different idiom, these particular psychological statements are kind of made. People say things such as the self love, healing, and so on. And again, I deeply suspect that it's just having too many of these Tuesdays, right? Which they should not take too seriously. It's like it's Tuesday and it sucks, and you're stuck in traffic again, and you feel like there's no meaning in life as you pick up the kale, as you scan the kale at the self checkout line at the grocery store. You need to chill out. It's not that big a deal. it's not supposed to feel great on a Tuesday when they check out with the fluorescent lights and all that crap. No, it's not. But that's what I always talk about. Like, I sometimes talk about the blues, kind of the blues spirit, right? The
Mm-hmm.
blue spirit is you're there, and then you need to have a little smirk in the corner of your lip, like you're like, yeah, isn't this absurd? Like, here we are again, crazy Tuesday, right? But if you keep gathering up these Tuesdays and talk, you think that it should be more, I should feel better, something should be something not quite right, there's something missing. There's another thing some people tend to say about stuff. I never know what they there's just something missing. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, what is this thing that haven't you learned by now that there's always going to be quote unquote something missing? Like, and I mean, come on, you need to chill. That empty space, that place where you just sit, relax, breathe. It's interesting that you started this whole thing with the notion of, you didn't quite say anxiety, but you talk about the having fear of getting into something, right?
Right. Right.
So there's a fear of getting into something, and then there's a fear of just sitting with yourself too. There's a fear of just sitting with, because somehow, and not to get pop psychological myself, but they've forgotten that all these things are just like things that are swirling around in a bowl, like a cup of coffee, where you just threw some extra cream or whatever, and some stuff is just swirling around. Meaning these thoughts in your head and these experiences that you're having about the crazy Tuesday, whatever, these are just freaking thoughts you're swirling around in your head about stuff that happened. Like, yes, and the fluorescent lights do suck. And yes, you don't have as much money in your bank account. But what the hell does that even mean? Because you can imagine a state of mind that you can be in where you look at all those facts and it doesn't matter at all, right? Many, many ways in which so it's like people forget that all these things don't really, it's just a perspective thing. So now they're like, okay, I'm gonna go
You had
heal,
to
right?
adjust your mindset.
Yeah, here you go. Boom. That's the key. Just adjust your mindset. So now they go to a healing retreat or whatever, and somehow somebody told them about this love thing that they should be doing. And for me, I find that if you don't take it down to the boring nitty-gritty of stop taking that Tuesday so seriously. If you think it's just, if you're gonna cover with a larger abstract blanket of I just have to learn to love myself or something like that, I don't think it's gonna work, because I think the battle is very acute. Like temptation is acute. Temptation is not
Yep.
something you go to a seminar and you're like, oh, next time I got it covered, right? I read this. It's like,
Yep.
no, temptation is right there, right in the moment, bro. It's not some kind of thing you just take care of. Anyways.
Yes. Totally. And this satisfaction level little meter right here, as if that's something that can be quantified in that way. It's that's interesting.
The
Again, we
first
could.
world is always measuring satisfaction and talking about how measuring other people's happiness in the third world and stuff like that, saying how they're happier, and the first world is
Yep.
sad. I think it's an interesting thing, but I think one of the issues is, why the hell are you trying to measure this stupid satisfaction happiness thing? And anyways,
Yeah. That's that's an interesting the attempt to quantify satisfaction level, as if you give two people exactly the same things, that they would have the same
yeah,
experience.
I think
You know.
super culture. Is somebody from a culture that is non-Western, the notion of satisfaction is so different from what the hell the Westerners start thinking about. Westerners way more solipsistic in their notion of this person is going to have a general cultural context. About 90% of what they're saying is going to not be about them, right?
Mm.
It's going to be about the village, if you will. So I guess a path, idea or an example, or you're going down the wrong path when you start trying to measure things like happiness. That's already, you already know. This is you've gone off.
I need I need the CGA sound effect. I'm not happy. All right, here we go.
4. You have no energy or enthusiasm. Are you tired no matter how much you sleep? Do you reach for coffee after coffee after coffee just to get through the day? Low energy could be a sign that you aren't enthusiastic about what you have to do every day, and it's making you mentally drained. American businessman Bo Bennett said, enthusiasm is excitement with inspiration, motivation, and a pinch of creativity. To be enthusiastic and therefore have enough energy, you need to be excited and inspired and motivated by your life.
Yeah, they're definitely building on it. They're definitely building on it to annoy you. Yeah, they're just definitely building on the singular point that it is about some kind of measure, internal measure that you can ask about people's self-reported happiness, self-reported enthusiasm, self-reported zest for life. And if I continue perhaps on the cultural theme, I think that Americans don't really cultivate the zest for life aspect of things as much as they could. Um, there is a, for example, I don't want to trivialize it or caricature it, but one has to start with sketches, right? So if you take what's the contra of that? Okay, you're like, okay, you can imagine the Spanish and the siesta or the long freaking lunches that they take, and there's a certain type of thing that Americans, when they go to Europe and experience that kind of a life, there's something that they say about it. That's not something specific about the fact that you should be taking really long lunches or whatever. I think that um it is what undergirds all of that. It's not about the length of the lunch, really, right? It's not really about that. It can't be, oh well, you just change your lunches to 2 hours. No, you can still be a miserable American wreck at Subway, eating a silly sandwich. The food, for example, in itself, and that kind of institutionalized American food, right, is an aspect of this. So there's an aesthetic quality that undergirds that whole long lunch with good bread and good wine and people really having the whole zest for life thing. And again, there's a caricaturist I sketch here because I'm talking about particular lunches and bread and wine, but it's not about those. It's not about the bread, right? So I think it is part of the culture. Yes, America is not about cathedrals, right? It's a very more pragmatic. Come here and let's go get the gold. Come here and let's get the frontier. Let's go start build something. Blah blah blah. That kind of stuff, right? So it's not about the cathedrals and the books, the and the cultivating, therefore, of a zest for life. I think it's sorely missing. And again, people do look to Europe traditionally in America for something of that nature to try to reconnect with some kind of some kind of something that'll get them inspired. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it definitely makes sense. This stuff is definitely first world problems. Um, and this, but uh, even the sort of insistence that what it is that you do should be causing this state of euphoria. And so it's another way of saying that something is wrong with something else rather than wrong with you, right? If you're requiring multiple caffeinated drinks and you're not enthusiastic about this, you're not titillated by every waking moment of thinking about this job or this project that you're working on, that is that's a problem. You need to change what it is that you're doing. Then I would argue that perhaps you learn more about yourself if you continue to do the same thing but find a way to adjust you so that you don't require caffeine and you don't require external, attaboys and enthusiasm and in motivation, which I think is total BS. You know, um, you know, I wrote a, I wrote a, I did a master class at a university years ago, and the name of it was uh, writing with no inspiration. And now understand, it wasn't like a biographical thing where I told, I somehow came to the conclusion that you actually need inspiration, and I needed to unlock the inspiration inside, and or something like this so that I could find the music. No, it wasn't that. What it was is I was showing them an approach to be able to write where they didn't require inspiration to come up with melody, to come up with music, because that's going to be part. I mean, and it could end up being a significant part, even of stuff that you really love doing. I tell my students frequently, and a lot of really, I think, seasoned, really great musicians, especially world-renowned musicians, won't tell people this, but I do it because I think it's important for people to see that there's nothing wrong with them because they don't want to practice. 95, 98% of the time, I don't want to practice. I'm not motivated to practice. I'm not inspired to practice. I don't have enthusiasm for practicing. I require caffeinated drinks in order to practice. Well, you get the point. The point is, that's me, and this is for something that I love doing. I I have I derive tremendous fulfillment from music, not just on the stage, but when I'm playing my instrument, when I'm creating music. There's tremendous fulfillment that I don't want to practice, but I practice a lot. I practice a lot because I recognize that if I don't, I won't improve. I won't get to that next stage. So possibly part of the issue here is creating your own incentive structure, saying, okay, and to use the word that they used before, which we were kind of heckling, developing a mindset that says, okay, I'm doing this stuff. This is part of a journey, but I'm going over here. I'm not staying in the tunnel. There's light at the end of the tunnel. I'm heading to the end of the tunnel. That is the purpose. That's the reason that I'm doing this. Right? So rather than talking about you're not enthused and excited and inspired and motivated and blah, 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 and then that means that you're on the wrong path, perhaps we could talk about what's at the end of the path. Why are you going down this way anyway? Is there even anything at the end of the path? And I think in that deriving meaning and having a reason for what it is that you're doing, then you can bear things that you don't really like doing. Not liking something is not a sign that you're not meant to do it. It could be a tool that God is using to refine you further, to make you better.
Amen. Now, yeah, I couldn't I don't think I have anything to add to that per se. The
All right.
the the, the whole talking about, well, first of all, I mean, the last 2 points were kind of identical in terms of
Yeah, it's the same things. Yeah.
it makes you really wonder what they're getting at here. But anyways, I mean, maybe I'm taking the channel too seriously again. Maybe, I mean, you gotta have filler content, right? You can't, you just gotta throw this stuff out there. But the voice is very culty though. That her little like half whispery. Anyways,
Now, Pan African Black MGTOW patriarch says logic is wasted on a gluttonous woman who by nature lived to consume impulsively. She must bear her own cross. We obviously it's related to one of the last couple points. What do you think of this?
it's about the insatiability of people, right?
Yep.
Insatiability of human wants. They're endless. They're gonna be there, and if you base anything on it, that's gonna be a endless treadmill,
Yep.
constant dissatisfaction. You're setting a target that is unreachable. No matter what you have, you always want what you don't have.
Yep.
That's just how it goes. Now, the whole logic being wasted on X, I think, is a worthwhile lesson for all of us. I was talking about the acuteness of temptation, right? The acuteness of the moment, the acuteness of your frustration with Tuesday, and how you need to, in the moment, deal with it and have, again, that real life smile while you're frowning or whatever. I
Mm.
think that the it takes a certain amount of humility to actually get there, because that it's not logic, it's not by logic, not for any of us. I don't think that we're able to get past those times. I've had good, or at least one person give a good pushback on this, on my notion of what I call not logic. They would say it's still logic, right? What I call, like, okay, just like, just to be able to bear it, experience it and bear it. He would say it takes logic to identify that it is Tuesday, and that you but I'm like, no, but did they know? Like, I'm like, what kind of weird? But it's like in real time, to be able for that logic operation to happen in real time for them under stress, it just breaks down. That they don't actually see the logic between the fact that it's just these Tuesdays that is making my whole life me think that there's something missing, and I have to go on this crazy trips every 6 months or whatever. That in real time they tend not to see that. But my point is, logic is wasted on all of us in the heat of the moment, right? And it is something else, a little bit of grace and something else that is just able to help you just recognize that, hey, I'm weak right now. It's Tuesday and I feel like crap. Of course, it's fine.
Yep. I like that. I like this idea of giving yourself permission to just like what you just said. It's a Tuesday, it sucks, I'm not feeling great. It's fine. Like giving yourself permission to not be on cloud 9 all the time. Like giving yourself permission to not start questioning, the nature of reality because you're not on cloud 9 constantly. Because you have a freaking, regular smegular day. Um, because you're living like the common man. Whatever, to give yourself, like, it's okay. It's fine. This is the human experience. This is what happens. And you wouldn't be the only person that isn't on cloud 9 all the time. Now, I am going back through Breaking Bad,
Mm.
and there are things that could give you a certain sense of euphoria, chemically induced.
Mm.
But that's going to be a sliding scale. It's not going to be the same every time. And they had need to change the laws. Look, I need Allegra D for my allergies, seasonal allergies, and it's really irritating to have to go back to the freaking behind the pharmacy desk to get it every time, and they have to take my license. Don't you know that they're not really making methamphetamine with Sudafed anymore? All right, anyhow. I mean, perhaps some are, but that's not where the bulk is made. Just watch Breaking Bad. You'll get an idea. Here we go.
5. Making choices feels difficult. If you're lost, unsure of whether or not you're on the right track, you might find yourself always second-guessing your choices. It could be because the options on the path in front of you seem equally terrible, since they don't reflect the life you want to be leading. It could also be because you don't want to think about the decisions you have to make, since that would involve facing the reality of the wrong path that you're on. Avoiding the hard parts of life might be better in the short term, but there will ultimately be a time you have to face them.
And also, this video would be fueling that insecurity by providing more reasons why you'd be on the fence.
Definitely feeding. Yeah, the video definitely doesn't. I don't know if they know that they're being. Yeah, the whole psychology thing is well, it's highly varied. It's one of those things where it's probably like 10% if you're talking about, let's say, just therapy. Okay. And therapy, I know, is just a particular corner of this whole psychology world. And that's not the corner that I even have more of an issue with. It's not therapy. It's the body of the knowledge, generally speaking. But 10% good therapists, and but they keep on promoting the idea that you need this therapy and you need to, like this video, for example. It is feeding into the pathologizing of your everyday life. Every little thought that comes in your mind, of course, it should feel like you're getting tied down by vines when you make decisions and you make commitments in life. Yeah, that's exactly what it feels like. You're like, yep, you're locked in, you're tied down. It's not,
Hey,
yeah.
Ike, have I been wrong the way I've been thinking? Should I be taking each day more seriously? Thank you, Practitioner Her, for the $10 super chat. Very much appreciated. Very much appreciated. But I'm starting to question, now that we're watching this video, I'm starting to think that maybe maybe I should be more satisfied. I should be experiencing a higher degree of satisfaction daily.
Put yourself, maybe you should, they're like, how you just give, and whenever people talk in those terms, you're just like, wow, these damaged, broken people all over the place, man. It's like, I just give, and it's just time for my own. It's like, these are some of the most selfish people that are always talking about giving. They've misunderstood something about this giving that they think they're giving. It's really all about them and their side. It's all about how they do the relationship thing. It's how they're dancing. It's how they're getting their jollies out of the social environment, right? So it's about them. All this stuff that they're doing it's about them. They have a need to be around people like that and do stuff for people, and then they feel resentment when they don't get whatever it is. It doesn't go exactly well, which is the whole theme of this video, is when things don't go well in A or B or C or D. First, it went through your energy levels. If you're just not feeling high energy and not feeling enthusiastic, and then it goes through your mind in terms of like, oh, if things are not working out, right? If you're trying different things and things are not seem to be working out, now going through the decision, it's just like wherever there's uncertainty and wherever there's chaos, which there will be no matter what, right? Unless you're deceiving yourself by just chanting every day and going through the mantras and talk about positive energy and going to festivals and having healing crystals all over your, you know,
No.
unless you're just going full self-deception mode. Come on, you got to take in. There's chaos everywhere, and to just legitimize the pathologizing of regular life and the chaos that it brings is a little cynical, especially if you're in the psychological practice, right? Because what the hell do these therapists know? What are they gonna? Anyways, I don't want to sound like some Philistine here, right? I, but really, it's not about what they know. I get it. It's not about what they know, but I saw some silly little TikTok video about somebody saying that everything in the United States, and she was comparing it with Europe again, that everything has been kind of compartmentalized and now you pay for it, right? It's like, okay, rather than live a quote unquote holistic life where all your needs are met and you're happy and you're healthy
Right.
and all that kind of stuff, it's like, no,
Right.
here's a drive through for this, here's a drive through for your meds, here's a drive through for your um for the gym, here's a drive through, here's where you pay your psychologist, here's where you get the wine and the Xanax so you can go to sleep, and then you wake up and here's the whole path again. You go, you pay, you consume. Like everything has now been something that you consume. You go consume the therapy stuff and talk nonsense about healing and self-love and all that kind of crap. So I don't like that kind of critique anyways, but generally speaking, I think that she was right. And this video and the thing that it is doing, this is pretty bad. What they're doing here, just allowing people just wallow in their uncertainties and stuff.
Yeah. So adult supervision beat me to the punch. And he says, bruh, them healing crystals work. I got some for sale if you need. He says premium stuff. I believe this is again a crystal meth reference.
It's a
Yeah.
different kind of crystal.
Yeah, them crystals ain't doing nothing unless you smoking them. Okay, I'm sorry. This is it. Look. It's not a kid's show.
Warning. Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying. Anyhow, all right, let's keep going.
6. You're always stressed out. A study published in 2013 found that having a direction in life makes people recover more easily and more resilient in the face of stress. By startling people and measuring how quickly they compose themselves after, it concluded that higher levels of purpose in life predicted better recovery from a negative stimulus. Meaning, when we know where we wanna go, we're better equipped to face adversity. So if you're not recovering from your stress easily, it could mean that the life path you're on isn't one with purpose.
Yeah,
So-
this is interesting. This is actually mixed with something that's actually not bad. But
Okay,
you
go ahead.
go first, though.
I was gonna go just tangential in terms of talking about like actual solutions for people, right? Because I can talk about the path of the ninja or the path of the shaman or the path of the monk all day, but that's narrow casting, right? That's not broadcasting. Who the hell are you talking to? Probably talking to yourself, right? So
Mm.
in reality, this idea of purpose, this idea of having a larger meaning, this idea of having some kind of thing, having a why such that you can grind through any what, right? As you know, to get you through the tough times. A lot of these things are fulfilled through the social fabric for your typical ham and egg, or more so for sure, right? So if they're not getting this, what you should be perhaps asking them about, well, whom are their role models? What is their relationship like with their family? What's their extended family? And all those other kinds of things. Those are all those things that will replace you having to consume everything, right? Where you're consuming your Xanax and consuming the therapist and consuming the yoga, right? As opposed to just having a
Mhm.
healthy life where, let's say you're the settler, it's the settler community, and you guys are settling and farming, and you work from sun up to sundown in the farm, right? And it's not about the time or the clock or HR or this or that. You're doing what you need to do. If the work is done, it's done. If the work is not done, the work is not done, right? And there's a natural flow with that suits the normal person well, right? They need this general structure, and this is not being I'm not being you know I forget the word I'm going for, but I'm being sincere here when I point out what these needs are, right? And these needs will not be satisfied by you asking questions such as, am I on the right path in life and such, right? So perhaps what I'm recognizing here is that there is a real problem, and I'm curious to see what you have to say about, what you were going to say. But there is a real problem for Mr. Normie Hammenegger when he doesn't have this society structure around him in the West, whereby he can draw meaning from where he can draw meaning. This social structure, this social fabric that bestows status and meaning to his life. And this idea that, oh, we're just gonna yoga it away, psychobabble it away. I don't think that's not, people are not satisfied with that.
Yeah, the part I was talking about is as far as mixing some things. She talked a little bit about purpose and the lack of purpose being a sort of trivializing force, right? It creates in every crisis point you have less you have you have fewer things to reference to sort of reduce your stress level. You like have, if you're doing something and you have a particular purpose, then you can refer to the why, and the why can actually alleviate some of your stress because it's not a you're not doing this for no reason. Like it's not uh what's the word? I'm missing a word or an expression here. Um you have a reason, you have a purpose, and that purpose in meaning you can refer to when you're stressed, and it can provide some reduction. I sort of said that already. If you don't have that sense of purpose, and then you're going through this stuff needlessly, it seems like you're doing it needlessly, uh, because some stress is stress is normal, stress is usual for human beings. It's sustained stress over way too long period of time, you know, and it's sort of like needless stress that doesn't seem to relate to or have a proportionate relationship to the activities in which you are engaged, right? That's the stress, that's the dangerous stress. It's not the temporary stress because you're doing something that's hard, that's physical, that's zapping every you know every amount of mental acuity that you have. It's stretching you, causing you to have to learn new skills and all of that.
So chronic stress, right? Low levels of stress held for a very long time. And you say needless as well.
Right.
And one thing that the crystal people have correct is this bad mojo, right, is very bad for your health, right? And when it comes to things like cancer and such, a big part of it, including the diet and the exercise and the hydration, which, by the way, are ways of countering stress, are the
Yes.
diet, the exercise. It's that's what you're doing is
100%.
countering it.
100%.
So
And
if you
by the way,
counter
I
the
need to
stress,
ask the
yeah.
question, when you say crystal people, which kind of crystal people? Because we
No,
have
no, no.
referenced a couple different types of
Um,
crystal people.
yeah, the dreadlocked white girl with little beads on her feet and barefoot and carrying crystals. That type. She might have dabbled in the other crystal before, but now
Right, right.
she's
Right. She just came from the trap house with the
yeah,
other crystal,
she might.
but she
Typically, they when they're in that phase in the actual crystal, spiritual crystal phase, they tend not to, or at least pretend not to be dabbling in some of the more hard stuff. Like it's okay to be smoking pot, for example, right? But it's
right,
frowned
right.
upon. You can't be doing meth and while you're talking about these other kinds of crystals,
Goodness.
But they do have the idea of this bad mojo and all that kind of stuff correct in the sense that yes, this is what is killing you, um, Mr. Westerner, all of us. This is what, and by the way, stop blaming the doctor for not telling you. Okay. Stop saying they didn't teach you in school. You know. Okay. Shut the F up. Okay. Just stop it.
Yeah.
Just stop. You know you should be drinking water. You know you should not be. And this, of course, like it's also all about responsibility. I'm not saying don't do certain things. I'm ordering some caffeinated stuff and an actual like Belgian waffle because I'm gonna need some sugar and stuff. Okay. Uh need is a strong word. But I'm taking full responsibility. I know I shouldn't be doing that. Right. So I'm not gonna be like, oh, but the doctor didn't tell me, oh, but my principal in school didn't teach me how to do nutrition. It's like, no, But anyways, I just want to emphasize that this chronic stress. Forget the acute stuff. As you said, something physical, something's happening, blah, blah, blah. No problem. That's not what's killing you. The chronic, just basic, low level, whereby people are just putting a topical solution on it in terms of like either drinking beer or watching TV or doing some other kind of thing that anesthetizes them, right? Just taking some kind of anesthetic of some kind to kind of just cover up the fact that they feel numb and meaningless and pointless and there's something just sapping their soul. um and the solution to these things, again, it's not crazy esoteric. You don't have to go to and study something. It really is all in the moment, meaning rather than drown it in beer, face it. You simply sit there and you face your demons. You face what comes up. You let it okay, you're not gonna die. And shout out to Nietzsche, you're gonna get stronger.
Yep. What does not kill you only makes you stronger. Just try to prevent from getting broken bones. All right, let's go. Let's keep going.
7. You aren't focused. Are you overqualified for what you're doing? Do you find it hard to concentrate on what you're supposed to be doing? That's normal to some degree, but if you're constantly fighting with yourself to get your work done, it could be because the work you have to do has nothing to do with the work you truly want to be doing. 8. You aren't
And again, and now this is coming from a person that largely I'm doing stuff that I want to be doing. Most of the stuff that I do is stuff that I want to do for my employment, for work. However, evaluating or justifying a procrastinating and all the rest of that because you're not doing the stuff that you truly want to do, I don't see that as a good. I don't see anything good in that. That seems to be perhaps an attempt to, you're going to cause arrested development that way if people actually buy into that. Because what's the biblical principle? First you'll be trusted with, a little bit, and then with more. Right? So maybe this is part of the test. This thing that you're not really into. Well, how are you going to do that? Are you going to do that with excellence? Are you going to still be fully engaged? Or are you going to kind of do it lackadaisically and then use, well, the reason that I didn't really do it well is because I'm overqualified?
I'm overqualified for the job. It is feeding into it's a certain kind of a self entitlement, right? So I'm picturing the type of person that again that'll be listening to this and thinking that they should be working out of their laptop somewhere in Nepal or Bali, sorry, or in Greece somewhere. They want to do something where they can get to travel more. Oh, they
Yeah, they
feel
should be an
overqualified for what
entrepreneur.
they're doing. I should be an entrepreneur. I'm done with this 9 to 5 life or whatever it is that they're
I'm
feeling
built different.
entitled about. You're built different.
Yeah, built different.
This video will
I just can't
encourage you
have
in
no
that direction.
mundane.
And
I can't have no mundane job. I can't have them. I need. I got to be able to stretch out. I got to be able to.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, man.
it's like, man,
I'm
you the
I'm a
same as
crypto
everybody
nomad.
else.
And yeah, and by the way, all that pretending with the free money from 2016 till 2020, all that's gone for a while now. All that fake fake laptop lifestyle. But this person is being encouraged in their sense of entitlement into feeling like they should be floating somewhere in outer space and feeling great and feeling like they're really appreciated, feeling like they're being seen. It's another one. Um, and it's encouraging them not in the right way. So what I mean is this: by the right way is now I'm going to introduce something. So shout out to Dan Pena. I haven't brought him up in a while, but Dan Pena would be some other extreme, which would be like the drill sergeant aspect, which says, hey, you are let's say you wanted to talk about getting your act together, and you are indeed digging post holes when you should not be digging post holes. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the right way to get you in shape is to really point out the BS that you are up to. Like, hey, then get the hell out of that job where all you do is spreadsheeting when you know you should have gotten X, Y, and Z degree already, and you should be here, here, and here. Why the hell are you complaining about being overqualified? Why don't you have the freaking right job already? That kind of a thing, right? That
Right.
I can dig. It's like, yeah, okay. Well, if we really want to get down to some business, let's get down to some freaking business. Let's open the books. Let's call out all your BS and let's get you right. This kind of I deserve
Oh,
this I
goodness
deserve
gracious.
logic and I
Oh,
deserve
no.
pandering that's going on here is the problem. It's the disease. This is what's wrong with people. Okay.
Yep.
This is why they snap and start shooting or go Karen mode, every once in a while. It's because of this I deserve and I think this and shit stuff should be other than how it actually is. It's like they're not going into, go get a real. Take, for example, there was this and you can kind of see this kind of people from a mile away coming. Someone reached out recently to Kaizo asking for like, I don't want to call it like, it's like a coach types of stuff, like a productivity / coach, right? Because
Mhm.
I think Kaizo helped her out during with her PhD, right? So she kind of knows like, oh, he's good at something, or getting her to think, or getting her to work through something, whatever, right? Turns out Kaizo just mainly did it for her, but anyways, that's his
Oh,
simping
no.
and doing people's PhD stuff. That's a different that's a different story. But so when she came to, he actually asked me like, oh, am I kind of interested because he knows like I'm kind of. He thought that what I do, my old subjective consciousness stuff, will really benefit her, but he had a kind of an inkling that she's not serious. She's a particular, in other words, that she's the type of person in this video that this video is geared towards. And and he told me some of the symptoms, and I immediately like, yep, that's true. This person will come to you, right? That they want you to help them, but that's not. They don't actually want to change or do any real work. They just want to be in this activity whereby you are. They just want somebody to freaking listen to their BS. Okay, they want somebody to kind of like, give them a "you go girl" every once in a while, and also sit there and do a lot of socializing, right? There's a lot of. It's like, dude, like, no. When I tell you, okay, look, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna work on concentration and do breathing exercise and this and that, and this is what we're gonna do with regards to organization. Like, that's it. I'm not really there to, pander or hear about why. Oh, I just really want to try. Or hear about you. Tell me about your soul and your yearnings and your aspirations. Like, no, stop that shit. Okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's not what she actually wanted. Okay, and we kind of knew that. And Kaiser actually took it on, and it turned out how we thought it would be. She started like questioning the stuff, like, oh, but it didn't feel right, right? The solution didn't feel. So she went back to this video. I'm like, it just doesn't feel right. So I guess I'm not on the right path with regards
Oh,
to this help that I'm
goodness.
getting. It's a never-ending loop.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. This I think we're going to finish this out. I thought we might stretch this into 2, but I think we'll finish this out. Let's go to the next one.
Doing. 8. You aren't confident. Many people struggle with confidence, particularly in terms of their physical appearances. That doesn't mean you're heading somewhere that's wrong for you. But if you aren't confident in the actual way you're living life, it's a sign you're on the wrong path. If your self-esteem has been dwindling, pay careful attention. And 9, a gut feeling. Is there a little voice in your ear?
Okay.
Oh no. Anyways. All right. Well, confidence. At least this one just kind of it does drift go in a different direction, even though the overall theme is the same of like, hey, if anything is kind of wrong, shaky. Now they're talking about stuff shaky in your ego. If it's shaky in your energy level, if it's shaky with regards to your skills and what you're doing, and is it working or not? Now, if your ego is shaky too, okay, this is also a sign. Obviously, I think that it is plausible. I think we started this video talking about the fact that it is obviously plausible that all these things will have a correlation with you not being on the right path, right? It's true, okay, but it's not really helping you to present it this way or to pathologize life by talking about this path stuff so much. So I don't really have much to. I can see number 9 is going to be interesting, but because number 9 I think is oh my god. Anyway, we'll get there. What do you have to say about this confidence thing? Like, when you're feeling less
Yeah,
confident.
the confidence thing. It is true that people do struggle with confidence at times, but yeah, I mean that's one of the sort of things that sort of solves itself by you getting out there and doing more stuff and interacting with more people. And it's the kind of thing where if you're just constantly second guessing what it is that you're doing instead of like taking a risk, it's like the more risks that you take that pan out, the more confidence that you'll have. That's just the way that works. So you can't
And
just
if you're
be
going
like,
upward, that means you're trying new things that you haven't done before, where you don't have perhaps the reservoir of this particular kind of risk. You don't have the backlog or the track record of a particular kind of risk, right? That you're now having to
Right.
take. So yeah, confidence is going to be shaky there too in all these upward trajectory, right?
yeah. So you just have to be willing to, to take a risk and to do stuff that's, it's something different. So, the thing is that no one is born with experience. So that's everyone. Everyone is in the same boat. You're not born with experience. You have to live to have experience, to develop experience. And it's the same thing with confidence. You have to do things to develop confidence. And that's just where we're stuck. Now, if you're talking about people that actually have like stage fright, or people that actually have an impairment that's causing an undue amount of this, that's a different sort of issue, and you should get help for that. But if you're just talking about just the regular human experience, everybody struggles at some level with confidence. You do have some weird people, some sort of sociopathic kind of folks, sans the murder, and they just, they're just ice water in their veins. They're, that's just how they're cut. Not all sociopaths are criminals. Some of them are great surgeons, for instance, and they don't feel the kind of pressure, and they don't, so they're super steady. They're not contemplating the gravity of this next cut. They don't care. They're just trying to do a good job.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I know this, but recently I just kind of recognized it again. Like, you just kind of look at certain patterns of, like, every time if I'm gonna do some kind of a meeting / pitch / some kind of a performance of that nature, right? I always, now it happens to be something that I'm good at, but there's always a process of, due to the hypercritical aspect, and I know exactly what I'm critical of because I have a very specific way of approaching these types of things where I know exactly what I want, what I'm trying to get at. But there's always this, before it happens, there's a certain amount of anxiety, right, that I have about it. Okay, well, tomorrow's the meeting. Okay. And really, it's not a big deal. I know it's not a big deal, but this is a natural phase. And typically, the more I go into that theory, and then okay, cool. Not let me rehearse. Let me practice. The more I actually do that, the better the thing goes. The more likely I'm going to be in the zone when it's happening, right? Because I've worked that muscle and really gotten into the paranoia of it all. Like, oh, I got to make sure I get it right. Okay. Now, I know that I'm good at it, but it'd be stupid for me to relax or want to get rid of that paranoia or anxiety or whatever I'm calling it, because that's the juice. That is the juice.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
I'm glad you said that. This is a regular thing. I think people, often people will think that there must be something wrong with me because I get nervous, or because I'm anxious. There's something wrong because I'm anxious, or there's something wrong because I lack a certain kind of confidence. Shouldn't I just be confident if this is the right thing for me to do? Why am I anxious or nervous if this is, if everything's okay, if everything's right? And it goes back to that whole thing too. Is there something wrong with me because I don't want to practice? No, that just makes you human. Is there something wrong with me because I'm anxious? No, that just makes you human. Is there something wrong with me because I'm not just naturally confident in, I don't have any notches on my belt yet, but I'm just, no, that just means you're human. Is there something wrong with me because I see this really, really attractive woman and I dig what she looks like, but and I'm kind of like afraid to walk over there and talk to her? No, that just makes you human. That's just human. That's just what that is. I try to, as much as I can with my students, I try to tell them the whole anxiety thing. It's real. It's a real, and it's not just imagined in your mind. It's actually something that's happening in your body. You're getting adrenaline moving. It's dehydrating you. It's fight or flight. It's elevated heart rate. It's cotton mouth. It's sweaty palms. It's all of this stuff. So this is actual stuff that really is happening, but it's all normal stuff. And it's okay. And it's okay. Now, the more times you've put yourself in those pressure situations, it's not that you should expect there not to be anxiety. There'll still be anxiety, but you'll start to learn the way that you respond to that anxiety. Like what happens, what the tendencies are. One of the tendencies that I have, if I'm anxious, and I'm going to relate this in particular to performing, is my tendency is to call a tempo that's faster than I than I actually want it to be. Now, I know this about myself, and so when I perform, I have a log of every single tempo that I'm going to play every song at. And I have a metronome, a silent metronome. Because I know my tendency is to rush. I hedge against that. That's experience. Right? And then that develops a certain kind of confidence. But the confidence isn't because it's not that I have ice water in my veins and I don't feel anything and everything. No, it's because I decoded things and I strategized ways to address, issues, stuff that, issues that I have in the moment, stuff that tends to happen to me. I drink a lot of water. And if it's really going to be a stress situation, I start several hours before and I drink way too much water. Like I go overboard with it because my body burns up a lot of moisture. So there's stuff that you can do to sort of balance that stuff out. But it doesn't mean that you're going to stop experiencing anxiety. No, that's part of it. That means you're human. That means you're alive.
Let's get to this crazy number 9.
Uh-oh.
And 9, a gut feeling. Is there a little voice in your ear telling you something is off? If nothing else, your intuition might be telling you that you need to make some changes. Intuition is simply non-conscious thinking, where your brain works on autopilot and is actually a result of past experiences and all the knowledge you've built up throughout life. Is the reason something you can't quite put your finger on? Well, if your gut is telling you that things aren't right, you should listen. There's probably something about your current journey your brain knows that isn't reaching the surface. Finding out who we are and what we're meant to be doing is certainly not easy. It takes effort to get on the route that's right for you. And you might need to backtrack or start over a few times. But looking back, your future self will thank you for the effort you put in to start in the direction that was right for you. Do you relate to any of these signs?
So the
Okay.
gut feeling one is I think it's particularly dangerous.
Yes.
But I don't think I think this is one that women might fall for more because
Oh, they do. They
uh
do.
they do fall for it. This idea of a gut feeling,
There's
this
certain
idea of
statistics. There's certain statistics that this space tends to talk about that have been on the rise
I
for some
wonder.
time that would
I wonder.
correlate, that would agree with that assessment. Anyhow, go ahead.
Something not feeling right. Something needing to change. A gut feeling associated with that. And then you bastardize intuition by making it the lowest level kind of unthinking, unconceptualizing intuition, right? You know, intuition is yes, it is a not logical thinking in the sense that um I just had to do this in the sense that intuition gets used in a couple of different ways. It is all on a spectrum, but I think the highest form of it basically is thinking conceptually in terms of you can see the whole shape of something, and it's not about like logical step by step stuff. You kind of see a general shape, or you can see things take shape, or you can form these shapes. You have these general idea of the shape of the curve, let's say, what governs the behavior of this particular set of natural phenomenon that you're looking at. Like it looks like it's like a linear progression. It looks like if I do this, if I push here, that other thing will happen. It'll correspond. You see the kind of causal chains and stuff like that. So in a sense, yes, you're looking at these causal chains, and you're looking at uh, uh, things that you cannot express yourself. It's almost like artificial intelligence. Like, we don't understand the formulas that artificial intelligence uses to predict things. To predict the cat face. There's like this, just like hundreds of thousands. There's millions of parameters and millions of formulas that it has come up with that says cat face, right? So intuition is similar to that. But to just make it some kind of like any kind of unconscious feeling thing that you get, I mean, that's like the worst grade of intuition, right? That's just, I don't even know why people use it in the same sense. They give it, they use the word intuition to make it seem like, oh yeah, this is something legitimate. But really, you just have some kind of maybe it's a bout of selfishness that you're having. Maybe you're hungry. Who knows? Maybe your blood sugar is low. And all of a sudden, oh, it's your intuition telling you that something is going wrong. And also, especially given the fact that a lot of this stuff is based on past experience, a lot of your past experiences filled with fears and crap like that. There's a lot of self-fulfilling prophecies that you're trying to enact in this world, okay? You're trying to make certain things happen so that you can be justified in the fears that you have, right? So you're afraid that he's going to leave you, and you F it up and he leaves you, right? That's how people are. So to be trusting this very vague notion of stuff, like, look, I that gut feeling stuff, I don't like at all. I'm a big fan of intuition. I use it a lot. Okay, but I like it when it's actually defined and when it actually makes sense, as opposed to just something, some inkling or whatever the hell they're saying.
Yeah, the gut feeling, intuition, um, uh, groupthink, the Holy Spirit, um, zeitgeist, um, the ether, um, all of that stuff. Um, there are sort of, there's overlapping, and um, there's also conflation, and a general lack of precision. Where I don't know that people understand how those things relate, how they don't relate, where the overlaps actually are, and that there is a common tendency to conflate uh, a lot of these things, and even feelings in general, as that relates. So in one sense, feelings. So, for instance, I can't remember where it is. It might be in the book of Daniel, or I have to think about where it is. It could be in Psalms. I don't remember. But the quote is, um, the heart is wicked and deceitful above all things. Who can know it? It goes on further to say, basically, that he who trusts in the heart is a fool. Right? Now, heart in that sense was uh, they were actually talking more about the sort of the stomach, in sort of renal glands, right? That's really what that word, when it says heart, that's actually what they're talking about. They're not talking about the actual heart beating blood. They were talking about the heart of the person, like their sort of sense of feeling. They were kind of talking about what they would talk about in the New Testament as being sort of the flesh. It was kind of related to that, but not just simply lust or or hunger, like that kind of stuff. It wasn't just that. It was something even perhaps deeper than that stuff. So it wasn't just chemical stuff. And so it's interesting, but then, you have people talking about following your heart all the time. Follow your heart. Your heart will never steer you wrong. All of that kind of stuff. And I'm just, my heart
I
has
think
said,
there's hope, Dr. Thunder.
huh?
Let me. I think there might be hope.
Oh no.
There might be hope in the sense that if we bring enough precision, you're saying that there's this area generally lacking in precision. If we bring enough precision into and we create the actual separation that there is with regards to what we call people whom value a certain kind of rationality, weighing things in a rational way, right? And we will call them thinkers generally, versus people whom weigh things from a value based, meaning how does it affect what is the most important value right now? Is it the value of togetherness or and that's feelings now, okay? A certain
No.
aspect of feelings is values driven, right? And personality wise, it is true that there is this demarcation between the people whom will speak from the chest or speak from the head, right? And habitually, they we can see the difference. Okay, I am a speaker from the head. I don't do the chest stuff a lot, like, and then there will be other people whom do the chest stuff, and we know the differences between those. I think that perhaps when you tell somebody to follow their heart and they're the chest type of person, and if they're clear enough and I think that they're hearing something different from what you're hearing, right? Um, if again, we've sorted things out, right? We're sorting things out where people are not talking past each other and all that kind of stuff. That if the right person, whom is a heart type of person, by heart now I mean they have this values based thing that they use first, as opposed to let's rationally look at what's happening right now and weigh it. It's more of the values. It's God and country first, no matter what, whatever, right? Then saying follow your heart is telling them to go with their values, not with whim per se, right?
Right.
For you it'll be like whim. You're like, because you don't do that hard thing. Like, you rationalize it first, and then you put it within a context, and even several broader contexts, and you kind of want to look at everything in a certain way, right? Um, and your values are defined in the terms of the logic, right? It's like you will build up your castles of value based on logical language and propositions and stuff like that. These people, it's a more of a reverse. So they will be, but you guys are still building a system of values, but this is a proposition that there might be hope that if you were to tell the right types of people whom are feelings based to follow their heart, they will actually be following their values, and they're hearing something not what you're hearing. But for you, they shouldn't be telling you that at all. And the reason it doesn't, and you already know that because it doesn't make sense to you anyway. So that might be the hope, but obviously there's not going to be any. The precision is not going to arise, and I think that the follow your heart, follow your feelings aspect is going to weigh heavier in the zeitgeist, in the general parlance, right? Because for several reasons,
Yeah,
that's the one that's going to be
even
there.
but even with that, to understand what things are, what sensibility is actually following your heart. So you said follow your values. That's cool. Now, often is the case that when people say follow your heart, in this sense, when she was talking about a gut feeling, and churches and houses of worship and stuff, they churches will talk about the Holy Spirit, or they're talking about hearing the Holy Spirit. They'll talk about the Holy Spirit is telling me this right now. I need 21 people to give me $1,000, and the Spirit doesn't lie. It's dangerous because I think that because the general person, I don't believe to be particularly in touch with themselves. So it's easy to manipulate them. Right? So if they're following their values, and their general values are saying that, well, in my profession of faith, I believe that the Holy Spirit is real. I believe that you shouldn't, trivialize the work of the Holy Spirit or whatever. And now this minister is saying for me to dig in my wallet for $1,000. And so there's a shortcoming there that happens when you don't have something else to balance that with, to at least ask some rational questions. And I think that's part of what was attempted to be communicated by that scripture that I was referencing. But it's not to say that you don't follow your values. It's not to say that you don't follow a sense of yearning for something. I mean, there's a lot of things that it's very difficult to intellectualize, and you have to sort of go with a certain, to use the expression, gut feeling. But there would have to be very, very specific parameters put around that for that to actually mean something that would be helpful, beneficial to folks. So they'd have to dig deep to, we'd have to dig around for some more clarity on that. Hey, I'm sure that the all those folks that followed David Koresh, they were following their gut. They had a strong sense that this is, the people that were following Charles Manson, and I'm going I'm kind of going extreme with this, but the point is, if the principle is correct, it works no matter where you test it. So anyhow, that's why I tend to be kind of,
One last word on that point there. I think that the feelers in the world have a harder path, right? To actually climb. If I were to use a trivial kind of notion of like self-actualization, a harder path to self-actualization, I think is on the path of a feeler. If I were to take an example of a feeling type, if that it's heavy in the extroverted feeling, right? And if I just throw out an MBTI personality type out there, an INFJ, right? Intuitive feeler type. Okay, I know a few of these, and they're quite interesting people. They have that intuition there and all that kind of stuff. You can get it there, but they're very FE. They do come from a place very much of there has to be harmony, and people need to, the whole people stuff, right? Now, their path to wisdom, from my perspective anyway, seems to be a lot harder. Now, they can get there. They can because they have to overcome a lot of the pressures from family, from this, from that, to balance that. Because me, I could just kind of maybe do some unhealthy things to kind of close that off, or maybe I find it, but they have to deal with it. For them, it's more it's a heavier burden on them. Let's just put it that way. It's more real in their perception, and they have to deal with that stuff. And the ones that have actually, and there are actually people on YouTube that I listen to that are of this particular personality type. There's one or two. One of them is called Charmath Palihapitiya or whatever. I can tell he's a INFJ type cat. He went through the crucible, okay, went through the fire, and has come out on the other side. And I admire his ability, the maturity of his extroverted feelings, the maturity of that whole catering to people stuff the way he's able to do it, masterful. I can never do that, but most of them die on their way to that place. Okay, I don't think it's easy, man, to genuinely be that guy that's right there in the middle of the family and caring about all the things and feeling everybody's feelings. That's a tough road, man. I wish them all the luck.
Yeah. It is. Yeah, it is tough. So we completed the whole video. I thought we might have ended up stretching this out, but very very good. And it's kind of pop psychology. It's it's for sort of mass consumption. We got 11 million subs on the channel and all of that. So that kind of communicates a certain content strategy. And even right in the beginning, at a sort of stating of the mission of the channel, she even says that a goal is to make psychology more accessible. Okay, so we already know. We know from the beginning that this is not going to be, the deepest and most, consistent, and rigorous kind of material. However, I thought that there was a lot of good points made. And I thought we had a good conversation.
I thought so too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go get Ish done with this. I got a cold coffee, like a cold brew thing with like this. It's like almond milk whip, just a little dash of honey, no, not too sweet, whatever type thing, and this Belgian waffle. And hopefully I'll be able to get some work done into the night here. And we'll see. Or maybe I'll just end up watching anime. I don't know.
All right, everyone. But like, share, comment, subscribe, become a channel member where you'll get access to all archived videos, support Black Male Media, support independent media, super chats enabled, super thanks for the replay gang, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, Dr. Thunder Music, all one word. Spell out the word doctor. And if you want to buy me a sandwich, shoot me a Cash App. Make sure you go over to Ike's channel and sub over there. Also become a channel member there. Becoming a channel member on my channel at the master's degree level gives you the best bang for the buck. It's $5 a month. Really helps. And we'll be back tomorrow with a Car Thunder in the morning. Might not be in the morning, might be in the afternoon. And then a Two Dads React. So, and Adult Supervision just put a link in the chat. Folks can follow that to check out a few details about some of the stuff we were talking about as far as defining some terms. So anyhow, that is it. We will see you next time. Be well. Be good to yourself and others. Peace.
Peace.